Yeah.
We gotta know, man, how much it costs, So, like I said, all in all, good fucking show, man.
It's dope. I can't wait for another season.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think it's gonna go through. I know right after is when the whole Will Smith slapping Chris Rock thing happened. So I don't know if that hurt with the programming because it's on Peacock and whatnot, and it is his show essentially. You know what I'm saying? He has a major part into the show being made, but I hope they go ahead and go through with it.
Well, Peacock, NBC, whoever, Comcast, I don't know, whoever's in charge of running this show, please bring it back for season 2 because we
got to see what's happening.
What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Tony Hadnot, aka the Nocturnist, and I am here with my bro
Ken Folk, and we are
Super Hadnot Bros, and we are a podcast about nothing because a conversation about nothing is a conversation about any and everything. So, man, let's enjoy the show. So how was Thanksgiving?
Man, Thanksgiving was actually pretty dope. I had a good time. Son came home, even though he was out and about and stuff, but I got to see him for a couple of days. But I had one issue before Thanksgiving that I've been wanting to talk about because it pissed me off. This happened Monday before Thanksgiving, bro. So I'm going to say this. You can't be nice to people no more.
Okay.
So Monday I went to HEB to go get my turkeys and my ham and, some stuff that I was going to cook, some seasoning and stuff, nothing major.
Right.
So I get into the line. I'm in 15 items or less. You know what I'm saying? And while I'm checking out, this young lady comes behind me and she puts her stuff on the table, on the belt. And the cashier's just ringing. She just ringing shit up. And the young lady had a loaf of bread.
Okay.
And so she scanned her loaf of bread and she said, "Oh, ma'am, that's mine." And she was like, "Okay, well, who's the rest of this stuff for?" I say, "Well, the peanut oil is mine, but if I said just you already got it on there, no biggie."
So you paid it forward.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just a loaf of bread, no biggie. I got it. So she looks at me and she was like, "No, I got it." So I was just like, "Nah, there's no problem. I promise, there's no problem. There's no big deal." So I could see the cashier, she getting nervous. Like, for one, I don't think she knew how to take that item off of my ticket.
Right.
The line is starting to get long. I'm not trying to have people hold up so she can call a manager, do all this other stuff. I was like, "I promise, it's fine, no big. No, this bread from my mama, I got it." So I was like, "Hey, go on in and take the bread off."
Yeah.
So young lady continues. She got my peanut oil, bagged all my stuff up, and I paid for it. And I'm starting to walk off. Now I'm damn near to the door, and I can hear the young lady that was behind me. She was like, "Hold on!" And when she ran up, she tapped me on my shoulder like that. You know how you put the two fingers? She was like,
she hit you with the pressure tap.
Yeah. She was like, "Hey." And when I turned around, she said, "I said I could pay for it." And she threw $1 in my face. And then walked off.
If that ain't the most aggressive form of gratitude, well, I don't even know if that's gratitude. That's just, that's kind of being a bitch.
I don't know what triggered her off so bad, but it was just like, she threw it and hit me in the face with $1. So now I'm shocked. Everybody at the door to walk in and all that, they looking at me crazy like, this nigga did. And I'm like, I ain't do nothing. I just paid for her bread. So obviously the cashier really didn't know how to take it off.
Right.
The chick could have easily just been like, "Thank you," and then went about her day. That was it.
Right.
I didn't ask her for her number. I didn't look at her. I didn't say nothing, but it's okay. I got it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There was no advances, no nothing. I didn't have an attitude with it. It was just strange. So now I get to mama house to go pick up Casey. So I'm telling mama about it or whatever, and mama gonna say, Well, she threw $1 at you. She shortchanged you. She said the loaf of bread way more than $1. So now I'm pissed off that she didn't even throw me the full amount. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she didn't even get her. She didn't even reciprocate the.
Yes. You gonna get mad and then you didn't pay for it all the way.
Right.
So I don't know, bro. So yeah, that's my little thing. You can't be nice to people no more, bro. I don't know what happened, bro. It was just like the moment I said it's fine, I got it. She got pissed. I don't know if she thought I was implying that she didn't have the money, or it's just a loaf of bread. I'm trying to be courteous to the other customers because that line getting long. Everybody getting all last minute stuff for Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yeah.
When is that so? I wonder maybe she had a there's only a couple of things I could think of.
Okay.
Maybe she had like a traumatic experience with a dude. That's one thing, right? And maybe she feels a certain kind of way around men. Also, Bae, can you get this for me real quick? I had it open because I didn't want them closed. Thank you. She had either a traumatic experience with guys, so maybe she felt the need to not want to depend because it made her and subconsciously feel weak. Secondly, did I say two things? We'll put three.
I don't know. We
anyway,
because right now none of them making sense. But okay, go ahead.
No, I'm saying like when people have traumatic experiences, they don't know how to react whenever they be around whatever it is that resembles whatever it is they've been through.
So like some dude was aggressive with her with a loaf of bread.
Maybe just some dude was just aggressive with a period, and so maybe she like I don't need no man kind of on that kind of shit, you know. Secondly, which kind of rolls into the same thing, maybe she just feels the need to be independent because hey, a lot of girls feel that way these days.
Okay, well then that's fine. Throw the same amount you was gonna pay for it.
Yeah. Well, see, this is what my third is, and I am really not trying to make fun of these people. She might have been a crackhead, bro.
I know she wasn't a crackhead. I can definitely say that.
Okay, so she wasn't a crackhead. So
yeah, we gotta eliminate that. She looked like she might have been mid-20s, something like that.
Yeah, she probably on that rah.
Yeah,
whatever. But hey, you live and you learn. You don't have to always pay it for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, I guess in that sense, it's just good to just go jump another line. I mean, just let her call the manager. Just hold up the line for your peace of mind.
I honestly didn't think it was a big deal. And like I said,
it doesn't sound like it was.
But then I did tell the cashier, I said, hey, just go ahead and take it off of there. But obviously she didn't know how to do that.
Right.
She let me pay for it and everything.
Yeah.
So, but still, yeah, it was like, what the hell, bro? Like, I've never seen nobody mad over a loaf of bread.
Yeah, of all things, a loaf of bread. I mean, I could see if it was like a basket with like a month's worth of groceries or something like that. Before a loaf of bread, it's.
But even if it was a basket full of groceries, and I offered to pay for it, you would think somebody would be like, "Are you serious? Yeah, go ahead. You know how much money they would have saved?"
Yeah, 100%. So. That sucks. I hate
that was my pre-Thanksgiving bullshit.
Your pre-Thanksgiving experience.
Yeah.
But hey, look, at least you got to fry 2 turkeys without burning your house down.
Yeah. I fried 2 turkeys. I did one with my regular season. Then I did the lemon pepper, which I'm not gonna do again. It came out good. The texture and everything was good. The flavor was good. I just didn't like the presentation. The seasoning that you use for lemon pepper, it burns extremely fast.
Oh, so it came out dark.
It got stupid dark. But it didn't burn over. It didn't overcook or nothing like that. It was just the way it looked. It was just like, oh, geez.
Well, maybe you invented like, Kim Folks lemon pepper chicken special. I don't know.
You could taste the lemon pepper on there. The flavor was good, but just the presentation, I ain't want it. We was already talking shit about everybody's food. I ain't want to start bragging on that. And it wasn't your usual golden. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay, well, I mean, hey, at least it tastes good.
That's all that matters. So, and I smoked the ham, so
you gotta take the good with the bad sometimes, man.
Yeah, man.
So that's cool. Well, I did what I said I was gonna do. I went on here and smoked my turkey. Took about a good 5 hours. I injected that bad boy, seasoned it up, let it sit overnight. Threw it on the pit, put put a couple of them post-up logs on there so it can burn long and slow. And man, it came out pretty damn good. It had a lot of smoke flavor, all that good stuff. I was gonna put my ham on there, but because we actually had a friend's house to go to later that day, I didn't really have the time for it. So I went ahead and just threw that bad boy in the oven. It was one of them HEB hams, so you know it had the glaze and all that with it. So I just kind of threw all that on there.
Make my own glaze, you feel me?
Yeah. I was thinking about doing it, but because of time, I was like,
let
me just go ahead and throw it.
So,
but overall, man, it came out good. I done had a couple of ham sandwiches out of it. We done made a turkey tetrazzini out of the turkey.
Yeah, man.
So
I got it. Shred mine, cut some up, put them in a Ziploc, and shove them in the freezer.
Put them in the freezer, hold on to them for a few months.
So,
and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all out in the world are enjoying y'all turkey, post Thanksgiving turkey as well. So that's what's up. But nah, man, there's been a couple of things I've been wanting to talk about, man. Just some stuff that kind of came up. I'm trying to get my little list up real quick.
You made your little list.
Yeah, I mean, and we may not touch on all of it, but it was just so much going on and just so much that I've been paying attention to, man, to where I don't know, it was just really good talking points.
Okay.
So I want to talk about how online dating was online. Well, how online dating existed before it even existed, before the internet even came about. Yeah.
Explain.
You want me to explain? Okay.
Yeah.
So earlier, and this is something that's always been on my mind, by the way. So earlier, me and Adrian went out to Katie Mills. And so while we were on our way, we were listening to Zapp and Rogers' Computer Love. And you know, for the most part, a lot of people are listening to it, especially us younger people. When we're listening to that song, a lot of times we're not really paying attention to the lyrics.
Yeah,
we're just kind of going off the beat because the beat is so like,
come on,
man, that's like one of the most classic, R&B songs of its time, to me, of all time, because it's just got such a unique sound. But I had been paying attention to the lyrics for the last few years or so, but never really had the conversation about it. So now I want to talk about it. So I'm fixing to bring up the lyrics of Computer Love on my phone real quick, and I'm gonna let you think. I'm gonna let you hear what this says, and then get your take off of it. So, you know how it goes. I've been searching for someone who can share that special love with me, and your eyes have that glow. Could it be your face I see on my computer screen? That's that, right?
Right.
Then the next verse says, "Need a special girl to share in my computer world. I no longer need a strategy thanks to modern technology." So here's the thing.
All right.
That song came out in 1985 or 86, the mid 80s, right?
Right.
Nobody knew anything about the internet. Now, here's the crazy part. Here's a little history lesson for you young people who don't know much about the internet, or for old heads who just really ain't into technology.
Right.
Truth be told, the internet has been around since the 1960s, or at least the early makings of it has been around since the 1960s. It just
wasn't to the general public.
It just wasn't. Exactly. Everything that we get technology-wise usually starts off a long time ago, and the government usually has access to it. Usually what they do.
I read something that said it was like a 15 to 20-year gap.
It could be. It sounds about right, because if you think about it, roughly about 30 years as far as the internet goes. It was the early makings of it. It wasn't the internet that we know today, but you got the very basic idea of the concept of it, and they were using it for the military or government, whatever the case may be. And then of course over time they developed it and made it more and more sophisticated to where they could break it on a consumer level and then make it very profitable. And now it basically runs the world. So all in all, the song came out way before the internet can get into consumers' hands. So my question is, where did the idea of that song come from? Because to me, it sounds like pre-social media.
It does.
Like social media before social media.
It sounds exactly like what social media is now. But okay, even though I've heard the song a million times and I know the lyrics, I honestly thought he was just coming up with a concept of this computer love. So I took it as like two computers falling in love. So he had a computer screen, this and that and whatnot. And we knew they had computer screens and stuff like that, but they just wasn't a popular thing. So when you say computer love, I figured it was the old school green letters and whatnot, typing and making they little codes and doing whatever. But that's still it's crazy because it almost seemed like he jumped into the future and
it was like he saw the future.
Yeah.
So
and before we go further, shout out to MJ. He always talking about this damn time travel. So there you go. We got one that actually makes sense for time travel.
Yeah, it could. Maybe it was that third eye looking into another dimension. Maybe his mind's eye saw that shit. But it was just weird because everything that he says really pertains to what goes on now. Like if you think about it, when well, first and foremost, in the 80s, like you said, when they had the computers, they didn't even have graphic, what's called a graphic user interface, which is basically what we use computers today, right? Before you had Windows or anything, video, or even a picture, like none of that existed. Everything was in code. It was all in MS-DOS or whatever your computer languages were, right?
Right.
C:/ you had to put program / exe whatever. Right, you had to do all of this thing to make a program. So it was very, very, very a very complicated and like it was very basic, but it was very complicated to like us on the end user side of it. So as far as I know, and I could be 100% wrong, I don't even think chat was even a thing. Online chat was a thing. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know anything about online chat until I was in probably like the 5th grade.
Right.
Or something like that. Because
we started having access to it and whatnot.
That's when the internet was like really starting to come because Windows 95 was a big thing. And it was like
the computers with the see-through backs, you can see all the guts.
That was a little later, but you talking about when Mac was coming back.
When the Macs came out.
Right. But it was just so crazy because it was like that concept was so weird. It's so weird because it seems as if he basically predicted the future.
And he said it perfectly.
He said it perfectly.
Yeah.
But that can also go into like, let's say those, everybody know about them Simpsons episodes, right? Where something happened in the Simpsons and then like you fast forward 15, 20 years later,
boom, it's
and something very, very, very damn near accurately happens.
You know what they made fun of? You know how they tried to explain it?
What?
The Simpsons. They were saying that when you do so many episodes, you come up with all kind of stuff, and certain things are bound to happen. My thing is, while that can be true,
it was
some of the stuff that they were doing, and you cannot just slapping some of that shit together.
No, you coming up with this shit. So, but here's the thing. Like I said, the internet has been a thing since the 1960s.
Right.
So and by the way, very crackpot theory. One of Tony's crackpot theories. Like, don't take this seriously at all, but just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I always wonder, okay, well, Zapp and Roger were like really big at that time. I always wonder if like the rich, famous, elite, or whatever always had access to that kind of stuff before we did. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, some may do, but I don't think they would have.
Okay, that it may sound like a stretch, but could that have been possible?
It could be, but
could that have been possible?
Yeah.
Like maybe, like let's again crackpot scenario.
Right.
Let's just say that Bill Gates or Steve Jobs was into like really funky music in the 80s, right? And it was like, oh shit, there's a Zapp and Roger concert going on at whatever club in New York or whatever, right?
And they heard the lyrics.
And they was no. They just was listening to Zapp and Roger. This before the song even came out, right? And then like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were sitting at the bar. Zapp and Roger came out, yo, what's going on, fam? Like, man, you did good up there on the stage, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying, man? I'm working on this computer thing.
Going now, yeah. I see.
They sitting there knocking a few drinks back. Yeah. Somebody didn't talk too much, and Zapp was kind of like, Zapp and Roger was like, man, that's that's a dope ass idea.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden he came up with the song, and then boom, the internet comes out like 20 years later or 10 years later.
The song was a blueprint to help them out.
It was a blueprint, right?
Yeah.
So maybe Steve Jobs and Bill Gates was like, man, we were just kind of talking out our ass, but damn, they done made this song. So now all of a sudden we really got to do this shit.
My assumption that Bill Gates is a robot, so it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, I mean, I say Bill Gates and Steve Jobs really and truly what they were really known for was modernizing the computer experience.
Yeah,
I guess if the conversation really would have happened with somebody, it would be like, who invented? What was like the first social media? Was it Facebook? Was Facebook the first social media app? First social network? It was either.
I mean, because the network and whatnot. Because I mean, you know, what I'm saying we had Black Planet.
We had Black Planet. You know, but around the time Black Planet was hot, MySpace was kind of coming into the fray too. But Facebook had been around for a long time.
Yeah, but it wasn't used for what it's used for now.
Yeah, it wasn't used for the general public. It was for like college students.
Yeah,
to connect and network and build with. But I guess if anybody would have had that conversation, I guess it would be like Mark Zuckerberg or like Tom from MySpace. But I would imagine they would be too damn young. You know, that'd be like Roger and Zapp talking to
Tom made, man, because he was everybody's first friend.
Huh?
How much money did Tom make? He was everybody's first friend, bro. Yeah.
But nah, man, I just thought that was really weird. And it's almost kind of scary in a sense, like how media and albeit theoretical, purely theoretical, not we're not going to say that these theories are very proven, but like to say that they have been so spot on as to what happened in the future before it actually happens. So yeah, I was telling Adrian, I said, well, either it was a precursor to internet porn or online dating, like it was one or the other. You know what I'm saying?
No, man, it's just that's a good one. I'm trying to see if the internet may know something about this.
Well, I mean, and this is, if you have done your research, it's really not new news. It was just something that I thought about, because after I thought about it and had the conversation with Adrian, I did look it up, and I was just kind of like, man, does anybody else know about this? And it did say something like it seemed pretty predictable, but you know, there are a lot of younger people who don't know much about Zapp and Roger,
right?
Or hell, they might be people our age that may not know anything about Zapp and Roger.
Yeah,
you know. So, you know, hey, I'm just saying, go listen to the song Computer Love by Zapp and Roger, which is an incredible song, by the way.
Dope ass song.
And then, you know, think about what we're saying right now.
Listening to us, chopped and screwed, still dope.
Oh, and not to mention that many times it's been sampled. Mike Jones. No, not Mike Jones. Mike Jones didn't do Cuddy, but it was a Keith Sweat sample. That was a Keith Sweat sample. That was How Deep Is Your Love? But Tupac, Thug Passion.
Yeah.
Thug Passion, but somebody else did the Computer Love.
But no, they was on Thug Passion. Zapp was on it.
Yeah, but didn't they they used the Computer Love sample, right?
Yeah, slightly, but yeah. They just switched it up a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, but you could
you get it, but Zapp was actually on the song. But Roger was on the song.
Right. Okay, well, that's just, I don't know. That's just something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll let the general public go off of that and then kind of give their thoughts.
Yeah,
but
speak about it in the comments.
So there was another thing that I wanted to talk about. I don't know. I was sitting here thinking about celebrities, and I almost want to know exactly why in the hell do people give them so much power? Because I sit here and think about, like, okay, so the world is a crazy, crazy, crazy place, right? Like, everything's going on as far as like racial situations, financial situations, war situations, political situations, like all this stuff. And so whenever the media wants to like cover these global events or whatever you want to call it, and they'd be like, let's go talk to some of the world leaders. And I think Dave Chappelle touched on this.
Yeah.
It was just like, why do they feel like celebrities are world leaders? So, I mean, but that still boils down into the question, like, how do we give celebrities so much power?
I don't know. I honestly, I hate the fact that we know our celebrities now. Some of them I can't stand. People that I
Well,
used to look up and be like as a kid, being like, man, I thought they was gonna be dope, this and that. And you didn't. You hear they about their life and their personal views. You like that person trash as hell.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm boiling it down to, right? And granted, nowadays, yeah, you really get to see more of their personality due to social media because they make themselves more accessible
They
that
were
way, as
easier to
opposed to
digest when you didn't know nothing about them.
right when you learn something new about them. They were much more interesting because they
Yeah,
had a sort of mystique to them. But I mean, just overall, like I get it. You know what I'm saying? I definitely could appreciate somebody who's incredibly talented at what they do, right? Because
yeah,
there are some people who go out here and change the landscape of music, film, TV, animation. Like there's always these like, you know what I'm saying, milestones that happens over time that one person may do, and then it literally shifts an entire industry or culture.
yeah. I'd
But
rather watch it in a documentary form and not while they actually doing it.
But my thing is that I'm just trying to figure out what is it about them that when we see them in public, it's just like we go totally ape shit over them. Because I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie that I don't get starstruck. I do, you know, not as much as I would used to,
Right.
but like, you know, if I saw a celebrity walking down the street, I'd be like, oh, hey, look, that's,
Yeah.
and then you know, and be good. But it blows my mind like how somebody can just literally walk outside and then like millions of people just fucking like faint and just stop in their tracks. I'm just like, where does that come from?
The
You know what
internet,
I'm
bro.
saying?
Because all you need is a
No,
couple
no,
people
no.
that I'm talking. Well, I mean, I get it. Michael Jackson used to do it at concerts.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
did
This is before I'm talking
fast.
about like think about like the Beatles or Elvis Presley or Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
Because
Like,
some their music is a lot different from what it is now. To where like back then, when people heard their music, they felt something, and that turned into their life basically. Like
yeah,
that's why we talked about when people used to actually have pictures on their walls and going to every concert, T-shirts, everything that they would do, commercials, cartoons, whatever. People were going to tune in. But now it's kind of like the music now, they don't really, it don't hit the same. So I think the music always brought them to a moment in their life, uh, 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 whether it was a wedding or anniversary, first kid. You can remember the first.
right.
Some people remember a song because they got jumped. And they remember that. It takes them back to that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
Yeah.
all kind of stuff. I don't know, but I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying. I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out because these, like, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, these people get all kind of shit out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they go on the red carpet, they got all these high end clothing companies coming at them saying, "Hey, if you wear this like, I will give you this outfit for free if you wear it on the red carpet."
Yep. And
So
say
I
my
can
name.
get more, business off of it. Like that's just so weird. Even I think the thing that gets me the most though, not even just actors and musicians, but like athletes. Like athletes is the biggest one because I'm just like, man, these dudes literally get paid millions of dollars, and not all of them. I get it. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be your franchise players and top tier whatever. But these guys are getting like insane contracts just to go out there and like play a sport. And I'm just like,
Because it's a really high fast form of entertainment, which is cool. But most NBA players, they attire be trash, bro. When you see them walk into the stadium and the shit they be wearing, oh hell no, that's not
oh,
fashion, bro. I don't
no,
get it.
nah, they never could. Even Michael Jordan used to dress crazy,
He
but
still does. He still wear the dad pants, bro.
he wear the dad pants.
Yeah,
I
he
remember
wear
Michael
the
Jordan
dad
used to wear
pants,
them.
bro.
He used to wear them pants all the way up to here like Clint
Yeah,
Eastwood,
and they
and then have
always way too
his
big.
shirt was buttoned up.
Way too big. I mean, yeah, what the kids say, his drip was trash.
Drip. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I don't like it.
That's a new word, but I don't know. That's just something that's something that just kind of and I guess what really kind of sparks that question in my mind is that like if and I'm gonna go there. Y'all can come at me all y'all want, whatever. But let's say the stands, right?
Okay.
Behind,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
it's like if you talk about these people, even if you're not being negative, right? But if you have an opinion, right? Like you say, oh, I don't like Beyonce's song. The Beehive is gonna come at you with everything that they got. And I'm talking about
to say something, but everybody been like, nah, stay away from the Beehive. But the stuff is not, it's not in a negative sense. All I want to say is leave our oldies and our classic music. Just leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Oh, you're talking about the Frankie Beverly?
Yeah, and the one she did with the Ozzy brothers, the one she just did.
I hadn't heard that one yet. I gotta listen to it.
Those songs are perfectly fine without you in there, and you didn't make them better. So let's just leave them alone.
Well, but the thing is, I feel like they take, and this is not just the Beehive. This could be anybody that has like a strong, super stand, hardcore following. But this is kind of like the epitome of that, because like they really go hard for her.
Yeah, they'll put up at your crib.
And I know people say stay away from, but somebody's got to say it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to say it. I'll lay on the sword for it. I'll be the cowboy that go over the hill and come back with a whole bunch
Kelly
of
Rowland sings better.
Talking about there's too many of them over there. But seriously, it's like you can't even have an opinion, and it's just like it's just an opinion. If the song wasn't good, the song wasn't good. If you like it,
go for it.
Bravo. But everybody doesn't have to like it. But it could be like, nah, the Beyonce song was trash. Fuck you in your life. You ain't worth shit.
Your mama ain't shit.
For real. You're the scum of the earth. You don't even deserve to be stuck at the bottom of my shoe. Like
your kids ain't gonna never be shit.
You ain't gonna amount to shit. I hope you die and fall through the ends of the earth. Just like, yo.
I just said I didn't like the song.
Yeah. It doesn't mean Beyonce's a bad person. She's.
And it don't mean she's never made a good song in her life. It's just some music. For one, most of the music ain't for me to listen to anyway.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that's the thing people don't be understanding is like, music is art. Guess what art is? It's subjective, which means that it's everything ain't for everybody, but there's somebody for everything. So like.
That's like if I said, if nobody got this poster in their house, I'm kicking their ass right now.
I'm lucky. But
you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. That don't even make sense.
Yeah, nah, but I don't know. Those be the things that baffle me. But on the flip side of that, I do be feeling a little bit hypocritical because we did just have the conversation about what 21 Savage said about Nas. And to some degree.
But the thing is, he was just a liar. That's different.
But yeah, no, because
I'm not gonna let that be an opinion. He's just a liar.
I know you said you're not gonna let that be an opinion, but ideally it was an opinion. That was how you felt.
True enough.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel like we do give a lot of people power, including myself. I
wouldn't threaten his life or his fame, curse his family.
I'm not gonna sit here and say, you know, that I don't do it, but man, that's what I'm talking about, man. When you send that invoice and I got paid. But no, I don't know. That just kind of throws my mind. But here's the meat of what I really want to talk about. Look, everybody, I'm so late. I am so late on this, by the way. But I just watched the entire first season of Bel-Air because before I even go there, let me tell you a little story real quick. I didn't even know I had free access to Peacock. It came with my cable bill. I just found this out on Thanksgiving Day, right?
You been playing this shit the whole time.
We were looking at the cable bill, and Adrian was reading the paper. She said, "You know, we got access to Peacock," and I was like, "Oh shit, for real?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "For real?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "Let me get on that Peacock real quick.
Yeah, get on that Peacock.
Let me go see if I can go set this up and make sure I really get it for free." So I got on the website and I put in the little TV code, and that shit came on. I was like, "Oh, for real? Word?" And I got access to Peacock. So I was like, all right, let me go ahead and check out this Bel-Air. So at first I was a little skeptical. I know you had been telling me that it was good, but you know, I'm always skeptical about everything.
Right, but you remember what I told you? You can't go in there with the mind.
You can't think of
Fresh Prince.
Right. So spoiler for anybody. Who's seen it? I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but
we getting into it. If you ain't seen it by now, you just got to catch
yeah. And I'll talk about my pros and cons. We're gonna call this the Bel-Air season 1 review session.
All right.
So I've watched the first season of Bel-Air. First and foremost, incredible show. I'm gonna say that.
Dope.
Incredible show. Like he
visually,
just said,
it looks amazing.
Yeah, visually it looks amazing. 2, the scores by Robert Glasper and Terrace Martin. For the people who don't know who Robert Glasper and Terrace Martin are, they are jazz. I'm not gonna pigeonhole them like that, but they're very talented musicians. Robert Glasper, dude from Houston, Texas, his piano game is like ridiculous. Terrace Martin, dude from California, I think he's from Compton or somewhere around LA. Saxophones, and pretty much could play anything.
Yeah,
fire. So that was the second thing that got me, because I was sitting there listening to some of the score, and I was like, "Nah, them keys sound way too familiar. Let me see who scored this." So kudos to Bel-Air on that. But third, no, the storyline was written really well. If you're going into it like you said, thinking that you're gonna get what the show from the 90s was, you're gonna be you're sadly mistaken.
They had a lot of people pissed, but like I said, it's called Bel-Air, not the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, it's just called Bel-Air.
So
it's a much more dramatic spin on the show, where you get to see Will.
Extremely dramatic.
Yeah, it's very, very dramatic. Where you see Will go through how he started off in West Philly, it ended up in Bel-Air because he had gotten into some trouble or whatever. I liked it because it did. I mean, for the most part, the acting was a little authentic. It was really cool. But one of the things that I really liked the most is the way that they flipped the way they flipped the characters. And I'll talk about the bad parts of that too. But like just kind of going through the characters, I do like the fact that everybody had a younger, fresher, more modern appeal to them, from Uncle Phil all the way down to Ashley.
Just updating everything. Look at the house. The house was. We're talking about a real live mansion in this.
Yeah, it wasn't the little one that looked like the White House on the show.
Yeah,
this was like a nice crib.
Yeah.
But Uncle Phil, you think of him as in the old show, you think of him as the uptight, you know what I'm saying, too good for where he came from, kind of lawyer.
Right.
I mean, and his character, for the most part, had his moments where he didn't forget where he came from, but he was rich and
you have to look at some of those moments that they took inspiration from the show and into it.
They had those elements
episodes, but so where you can be like, oh, I remember that, but it's still not that.
It's still different. It's a different spin.
Yeah.
But yeah, Uncle Phil, he wasn't a big dude. He was let me just say this. Everybody has swag.
Yeah.
Everybody on the show has swag. Even Jazz. You know
Jazz
what I'm saying?
Cool. Yeah.
Jazz was cool as shit. But Uncle Phil, he was, in the one episode where he was in the old show, he was listening to the music and feeling the music, but he was listening to like Beethoven and shit.
Yeah.
In this show, he's a hip hop head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He fuck with like Tribe Called Quest and the native tongues and the classic hip hop shit. So when he in his office like pondering and shit, you see him with the headphones on and he jamming like some dope ass hip hop.
Would have been dope if he would have been like, yeah, man, I want you to listen to this, man, and put you on something and pull something out the crate. He'd be like, hey, listen to this dude named Fresh Prince. That would have been dope.
That would have been cool. Yeah. I liked Aunt Viv. I like the younger Aunt Viv.
Oh yeah, she cold.
I like the young Aunt Viv. She actually. What I liked about her was that she kind of you can tell she kind of pulled from. Actually, she took the best of both worlds from both of the Aunt Vivs to me. You know what I'm saying? She still had like the no nonsense attitude, and she came with the tough love, but the softer side of the other Aunt Viv, you could tell she was still very sympathetic, especially for Will, knowing where he came from and trying to make sure that he was good and so on and so forth. So I thought that was a really cool take on her.
Okay.
Jeffrey, my guy.
That's the dude right there, bro.
My guy. Okay, so here's the spoiler alert.
Could you even imagine somebody turning Jeffrey into that?
Exactly. So this is the major spoiler because Jeffrey, I feel like, was one of the most flipped over characters. So
Yeah.
in the old show, of course, we all know that he was the butler, right? He did typical butler shit, answer the door, answer the phone, house duties, cooking and shit, cleaning up, doing all of that. In this episode, in this show, they flipped his title and called him the house manager.
Yeah, he ain't none of that.
Initially, when you see him as the house manager, you kind of think of him as a bit of a butler, but like just in a more sophisticated way. But he wasn't that kind of house manager.
Well,
Jeffrey was.
He had people for that.
Yeah.
He keep everything in order.
He kept the house in order, but when I mean keep the house in order, he really kept shit in order.
Yeah.
Like Jeffrey was like I'm trying to explain it. He almost had nuances of Olivia Pope from Scandal, in a sense, except that he had a much, much harder edge to him.
Man.
So when Uncle Phil was getting into like some political, political scrutiny, these scrutinizing moments, Jeffrey was the one that went and he was the fixer.
He was like, hey, I'll handle it.
I got you. And what was so crazy about it was like every time something came up, Jeffrey already knew about it before the conversation came about. So like he was like the everything from the making sure that shit's done on time to the eyes and ears of what's going on around the family, and even taking care of some shit needs to be taken care of.
He got a squad, you know what I'm saying?
And got people. Like, again, spoiler alert. So when Will got so let's go ahead and let's backpedal a little bit.
When Will got into his trouble.
So we all know in West Philadelphia, born and raised, guys is up to no good. Let's get to the part where the guys is up to no good. So Will in West Philly was a star basketball player in his high school, promising career. Played a game, hit a buzzer beater, scored 1 point over. Had the college scouts looking at him. But him and his homeboy Trey, who is Ice Trey, portrayed by Don Cheadle on the old show, his best friend from Philly, they were at a sandwich shop and they were getting sandwiches, Philly cheesesteaks or whatever. And this dude walked up to him and was like, "Yo, where am I?" And they start talking mad shit. And Will, being Will, this Will ain't just the goofy Will. He quick tempered. He's very cocky, quick tempered, ain't scared of shit. So he like, man, we could do whatever. I guess the other guy was pretty good at basketball, but he was locked up at juvie, so he was talking shit. And he was like, if I wasn't in juvie, I'd be the star of the show. And Will was like, well, you know what I'm saying? I'm the man, blah, blah, blah. Dude, prove it. And old boy flashed his gun. So Will and Trey was like, all right, whatever, we're going to back off. And old boy was like, if you really want to prove yourself, come to the court tonight and show me what you got if you ain't scared. And Will was like, well, shit, let's go.
Yeah.
So they went to the court and Trey ended up bringing a piece with him to the court because it was like, man, we don't know what's going to happen. If they lose or whatever.
He knew what energy they was going into.
Yeah, if they lose, man, they might get a little shit might get a little twisted. We're going to need this.
It'll be above the rim in this bitch.
Right. So what's his name? Wood Harris. By the way, every time I think about Wood Harris and above the rim, you know what he make me think about? Matt Dillon in Something About Mary playing the football game.
Yeah.
That's how he played at above the rim. He was playing mad aggressive. Bro. He was playing mad aggressive. But So Will plays the game. What was it, 3-on-3? Or did they play a full court? A full team.
I've seen it, but whatever it was, they played the game.
They played the game. It was a serious game. So the dude that they encountered earlier in the show, his boss popped up and was like, you know what I'm saying? If you really hood, like put what you got on it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, and Will was like, nah, put it on your terms. So boy is like, well, if you win, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna break you off $2,000 and we good. And he was like, but if you lose, you work for me. And so Will was like, shit, I want my money in 20s.
Right.
So they played the game. Will ended up winning, and old boy got pissed off. The dude that they ran into early, he got pissed off, took the ball. He tried to throw it and hit Will, but he ended up hitting his boss in the face, but he didn't see it. The boss didn't see who did it, so he was like, "Who the fuck did that?" Blah blah blah. And old boy got bitched up, walked off, and Will got blamed for it, and his homeboy. So Will was like, "Man, we didn't do that shit, but you know what I'm saying? I still want my money." Right. And old boy was like, "Man, fuck you." So Will snuffed him. Pow. him in the face, just kind of sucker punched him. And so he kind of dodged off, but Trey was over there getting jumped. Will was like, man, I can't lead Trey.
Yeah.
And so Will grabbed a pistol and pop one in the air to scare everybody off. And then the police ended up coming because he had the piece pointed at old dude. So they all run off. Will gets arrested. Trey runs off, and he ends up in jail. And so that was my mom got scared part because she was like, look, this kid.
This one actually makes you be like, she had every right to see your.
She had every right because
in the show, like, the other show, it's like, oh, this nigga spun me around.
Yeah. So, old boy, the boss was in jail with him, and he was like, man, them tears ain't gonna save you. Like, when we get out of here, I'm gonna kill you, basically. And so the mom was like, you going to Bel-Air right now. Like, soon as she bailed him out, she took him straight to the airport and sent him straight to Bel-Air. So that's how he ended up in Bel-Air. I forgot how I even got into the story. You're gonna have to refresh me.
So basically, in his way there, he got an Uber, and it ended up being Jazz.
Jazz was his Uber,
Jazz.
right?
So Jazz, he took him out to the top of the mountain and let him take a view of the. He's like, bro, are you ready for this? Like, there's a whole other world out here, man.
He said,
I've been here, so I'm gonna show you how to maneuver around and whatnot.
Right. But yeah, all in all, okay, that was the point of the whole story. So the point of the whole story, back to Jeffrey.
Yeah.
So old boy found out that Will ended up in Bel-Air, and so he had people old boy had sent people out to Bel-Air to go tell him, and they was gonna try to have him killed. So Will had got word from Trey.
In that episode where you see old boy following Will,
yeah,
you swear it was one of his boys.
You thought it was one of his boys, right? He came up to Jeffrey and was like, no, Jeffrey met up with old dude, was like, man, I thought you gave like 10 grand to tell this dude to back the fuck off. And dude was like, I did. I thought he shut it down. Well, Jeffrey was like, well, he didn't. And old boy was like, well, how much more is it going to take me to shut it down? And Jeffrey was like,
no more.
I'm not offering any more money. Rolled up his window and drove off. And then like the next episode,
as soon as he said it, old boy, he was like, bet.
Yeah.
Like, I got
so basically after that, Trey called Will, was like, hey, cuz dead. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa,
so
dead.
That was the kind of character Jeffrey was. Jeffrey was a hitter. He was the house manager. He was the fixer, the closer, all that. So Jeffrey was probably one of might be my favorite character in the show right now. Hillary.
Very modern, up-to-date Hillary.
Very modern, up-to-date Hillary. She still has I don't think she's as self-absorbed as the old Hillary was. Because
she is, because it is all about her. That's why she didn't care about when she wore the outfit and stuff. She wasn't thinking about the family. It was just about her. Her consequences are a little bit more edgier now. It wasn't so much that she didn't care. She had internal struggle, because in that particular episode, she filmed it, and in that influencer house, the law was basically like, whatever footage was recorded in there, it's for the head of the house. But he jumped out of the house to go over there so fast, she didn't read no contracts or nothing. It's in the contract.
Well, that's because Anvil was kicking her out. Remember, Anvil kicked out, so she was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go to this house." So that's what that was. Because when the video had leaked, the boy put the content out. She was like, "I wasn't really sure if I was gonna put that out. You really had no right putting it out." No, boy was like, "Well, yeah, it's getting like 3 million views."
And I own the footage.
And I own the footage, but all in all, I don't personally. Yeah, she's the social media chick, and she was worried about her, but you can still tell so the differences between her and the old ones, that like in the old one, her and Will really didn't have much of a relationship. Like they interacted here and there, and they did have
little moments where
they had moments, but in this one, they seem to have a much closer relationship.
Right.
Like she's more sympathetic to a lot of people's feelings as far as her family goes, except for her issues with her mom, because you could tell she was a daddy's girl. Uncle Phil loves her.
He did whatever.
Ashley looked up to her, and they haven't seemed to have a really close relationship. But when Will came, she seemed to have taken to him really, really well. Like you didn't really see no animosity between them.
Well, I mean, anybody would have, considering the brother she has.
We're gonna get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into him in a minute. But then another thing about Hillary's character, different from the show, is that Jazz was always trying to get with Hillary in the old show, and she would blow him off. In this episode, Jazz pulled her off the rip.
Off the rip. Yeah.
He had her off the rip, then smashed and everything. So like that was one of the things that I appreciated about that's one thing that I do appreciate about her character, that she's a little bit more sympathetic and more she's able to have those close relationships.
Not ditzy and shit.
She's not the airhead. Who else? Carlton. Whew.
Old dope fiend.
Carlton was also another character who was really, really changed from the old show. So for all who knows the old show,
he was annoying at times in the old show,
but it was in a somewhat adorable kind of way.
This one, you want to knock him smooth out.
This Carlton, this Carlton was a dick. Yeah. But the thing about Carlton, and I think this is where I appreciate the writing of the show, because I did read about this and it does make a lot of sense, is that one thing you have to pay attention to with all the characters in the show is that in the old show, they were all just characters who happen to be black, right?
Right.
Uncle Phil was a lawyer who happens to be black. Will Smith was the kid from West Philly who happened to be black. And Bill was the art professor, so on and so forth. So, they touched on racial situations at times, like the scene where Will and Carlton gets pulled over by the police, and Carlton couldn't understand where Will was coming from,
right? In
that aspect, and then also
in the locker room with the one of the white boys rapping and saying nigga and acting like it wasn't no big deal.
That was in the new show, right?
Yeah,
but and then also in the old show where Carlton tries to join the fraternity, and they were like, "Nah, you ain't black enough."
Right.
Like you had those little nuances. In this show, you really kind of see the different perspectives of the black experience. And so that was one thing that I really liked about the writing, because that's how you could tell Carlton was written so well. Because he was
what he grew up with, like the people he grew up with, he did what they did.
He did what they did, right? So it was like Carlton. Well, but this is the other thing. Carlton in this show knows he's black, but because of how he grew up, white people saying the word nigga didn't
bother him
as
at
hard
all.
Because he grew up. Because he's such I don't know if he's millennial, Gen Y. I don't know what these kids
are. I don't know.
But it was like it's more widely accepted with that generation, right?
Yeah.
But it was basically saying that Carlton goes through the black experience. He understands his blackness. He understands where he is in his blackness, but because of his upbringing, not really knowing anything outside of where he comes from, he still has much to learn. So he's having a hard time trying to cope with that. So like when Will got pissed at the white dude, Carlton really couldn't understand why Will was pissed. And I can kind of see that coming from like if I were to put myself in those shoes. I'm not saying that it's right or justifiable, but from somebody who may not
on the character in as a whole, you get it.
As far as the way the character is written,
right.
It was basically saying like, okay, so not only is that, but like now here comes Will, and Will's kind of getting this extra attention and so on and so forth. But I'm out, and he's already taking the world by storm and all this other stuff. But I've worked my ass off, so my parents are not paying attention to me. You know what I'm saying? Will's getting all the attention. So what am I gonna do to be able to cope with this? Try to keep my blackness and so on and so forth. I'm gonna cope with it with drugs. He was a cokehead in this show. For all those who don't watch it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm spoiled. We're just gonna spoil the hell out of this show.
Shit, he was snorting Xannies all day long.
He was snorting Xanax and doing all kind of crazy drugs. But yeah, Carlton was a dick, man, like big time. Ashley doesn't really get a lot of screen time in this show right now, but she definitely is a new age kid. She's, I guess, is it Gen Z? I don't know, but these kids are now, Ashley is like that example of the kid where she's paying attention.
Was necessary.
Well, they have to write. They'll probably delve more into her in the next season, so we'll see.
Because she'll be older.
Yeah, so we'll see more of what she's going to be doing in the next season, but she's into things like global warming and climate change and social politics. But of course, I think the biggest thing that they're alluding to, not even alluding to, they've already
They
hit it
straight
on the
up went
head,
with it.
is the fact that she is her character actually ends up being gay, whatever you want to call it, bisexual.
They couldn't figure out
LGBT.
which part of the spectrum she wanted to
They
be.
couldn't
She
figure out
was
what part of the
like
spectrum.
boys, girls, or boy, girls.
So
or
that's
girl, boy,
she's basically in a phase where she's trying to figure herself out. So that was one of the more radical differences in this show, because of course today in today's world that kind of thing is definitely much more widely accepted than it was back then. So yeah, they changed that. And then Jazz was cool.
dope as hell.
Jazz was cool. Jazz is basically like Will's home away from home in a sense.
And he wasn't like the straight up bum dude, never had money, all this other shit. He got a gang of jobs though.
But you couldn't say that about old Jazz. If you really think
Jazz was a hustler.
I'm about to say Jazz is a hustler.
But you're every time when Will moved in over there and the apartment they lived in, come on, bro.
I mean, when Jazz was making moves in the old show, it was like Wile E. Coyote buying Acme products.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
His car he had a hoopty, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in this one, shit, he's straight.
Okay. And so here's something I put a connection to from the old show and the new show. If you really think about it, in the old show, I think Jazz was the cabbie. I think Jazz is the cabbie in the title song.
Nah.
Yes.
Oh no, you talking about in the new one?
In the old show, Jazz. Think about the theme song. Let's see. I'm trying to get to the part of the song. Hold on. Playing some b-ball outside of school, and a couple of guys up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. Like, my God, scared. She said, "Moving, Uncle Bel-Air." I was for a cab, and when it came near, the license plate said fresh, and it had dice in the mirror.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying?
So
it was like
it could have been, but it's just I know that he wasn't the actual driver in the original.
No, not in that. But I'm saying, like, as far as the story of the show goes, I'm gonna say that Jazz was the cab driver because if you think about it, that's what the show did in the new show.
Yeah,
when he was in an Uber driver. When he was in an Uber, Jazz was like, "Okay, so what side of Philly are you from? Because my hood radar is going off, and I can tell you either from West or North Philly, and I'm betting that it's West Philly." So it was kind of like they had like this moment of they already had begun to bond before Will even met his family. So he was like the first point of contact. So that just kind of made me think about the show. And he said the license plate said fresh and it had dice in the mirror because it was like, oh, this cab driver is kind of cool. Like he mad cool. Yeah. And then he said, and here's the other thing he says at the end of this, homeboy, smell you later.
Yeah.
Why did he say smell you later?
They had to throw it in there, man.
I'm just saying, I think Jazz,
I feel you. Yeah.
I think there was in there. I think there was in the cat. I think Jazz in there hot boxing a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm just but I'm saying all that to say is that Jazz is like that guy that Will can kind of relate to because
he's still the whatever you need, he can go get.
Yeah, he was the guy you could relate to because Will came from the hood, Jazz from the hood, and they just happened to connect on that. But all in all, Jazz was really cool. One major twist was Lisa's character.
Yeah.
Because Lisa in the old show, she didn't meet Will until
later.
He was in college. You know what I'm saying? But they met her in the new show. He meets her while they're still in freaking high school. Like she was like one of the first person he met. In the first, like she met him in the first episode.
Yeah.
You know, so they went to the same high school together. So all in all, I think it was a pretty cool show. But to go back on the idea of how everybody had swag, that was one thing that I did like. And you touched base on that because you said it was visually,
it was dope,
impressive.
Yeah,
and I think fashion played a big part in the show, which it did in the old days too.
But it's more tame now.
It's no, actually, it's not. And that's why I'm going to say I appreciate it mainly that's with Jazz and Will.
Mm-hmm.
If you really pay attention to it, like, you know, Uncle Phil, he ain't the big dude, so he's a little more, you know, he's a little bit more fit. So he's wearing like turtleneck, collarless shirts, and you know what I'm saying? He's wearing like more modern suits, and so is Jeffrey. Jeffrey was dressing his ass off. You know,
as soon as I seen Jeffrey, I was like, man, he gonna smash Ain't Ville.
Yeah, right.
I was like, God damn it.
He may in a future season. I don't know, but there's a big plot twist with Jeffrey later in the season, but we won't get into that. But I appreciated the fashion really with Will and Jazz, because if you really pay attention to it, Will and Jazz were the only two that really looked like how they looked in the show. Like Will's outfits and all that were really taking inspiration from, but it was what was cool about it was like they still made it fit.
Right. Like when they did the whole turn the jacket inside out thing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it was a different design and whatnot, but they were still able to make it to where it worked. And
it worked. It works for today, and I think that was really cool about it. Like Will was still wearing the big cutler, the flamboyant colors. Jazz was wearing like the crazy patterns on top of patterns with the shades and all that shit. So, yeah, man, that was something that was really, really, really cool about it. But overall, man, I think Bel-Air was a pretty damn good show, man. And like I say, the score, Robert Glassman, Terrence Martin, man. I mean, come on.
And the only thing I like, a couple of things I didn't like.
Anvil?
Yes.
Is it because of is it the art dealer?
The art dealer, but if you pay attention, in the very first episode, every time Uncle Phil said "I love you," she never said it back.
Yeah, no, you can definitely feel the tension.
She never
in the
said
beginning.
It back.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the tension in the beginning. She but that also goes into how well written the character was.
No, they explained, of course, you got the whole idea where they got the sort of arguments behind Uncle Phil didn't really give a shit about her career and whatnot. But even when he started trying, she had the mindset to be like, I don't care if you tried or not.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't just her career; it was a lot of the family's needs, which I mean, typical politician's life, right? You got to get your campaign right. So, what you got to do to be a good politician, you got to put on this image. Your family got to look like this. Everybody got to be this way. So it's putting them through the stress that he has to also go through in order to win the campaign and so on.
But as a family unit, those kids were born into all of this stuff. So they know how this worked. As a family, they know how this worked.
Yeah.
He didn't even take into consideration. He was like, I put my career on the job for your damn nephew.
Facts.
So if I did that, at least you can do is help me with this campaign.
And that was the other thing. Jeffrey and Uncle Phil, they have a sort of synchronicity with each other because in the old show, Jeffrey was, like you said, he was the butler. So he basically just worked for him.
Yeah.
Whereas Jeffrey does work for Uncle Phil, but they have a sort of kinship between them, where it's almost like a brotherhood. So
they actually hang out.
Yeah. So like when Aunt Viv maybe couldn't have the conversations that Uncle Phil could with anybody, Uncle Phil his confidant was Jeffrey. You know what I'm saying? Jeffrey was the one that would be like,
and Jeffrey kept it 100.
And he always spoke his mind, right?
He wasn't a yes man.
It wasn't so much that it was advice, but it was like, hey, look, man, well, if I were you.
Yeah, you know but he wasn't a yes man. It wasn't just like, okay, yeah, look, I know you take care of all of this stuff, but I'm still your boy. I'm gonna tell you what's right and what's wrong.
Right. He kept it straight up 100 with him like the entire time.
Yeah.
So that was actually really cool. But yeah, so you get to see Aunt Viv's perspective because she's basically the wife she's the politician's wife. So she's going through her struggles with him, and you can she has a little moment where she kind of you can kind of tell she's alluding to stepping out, but we ain't quite see it just yet.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna lie, if I was Uncle Phil in that show, and if I'd have met old dude, he'd have caught a couple of elbows to the face.
He was disrespectful, bro.
He was so disrespectful.
And then she was having his back on stuff, and I'm like,
she was kind of protecting him.
No.
Right. She was kind of protecting him a little bit. So yeah, so that was that. But then from Uncle Phil's perspective, black politician, because he was the guy, in this show, he really didn't forget where he came from. He, you know what I'm saying, dude from the hood, you know what I'm saying? He made it to the top.
Yeah. They did the playoff of the episode where they tried to play him with the fraternity and whatnot, and he had to show him down.
He was like, "Nah, I'm still Yamacraw."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So I'm here. You know what I'm saying. So it was like that whole struggle. And you really got to see the beginnings of it when he did the interview on the Big Boy show, the radio show.
Yeah,
and he was trying to go in there and talk the politics and what needs to be done, and everybody was calling up like, "How much money you got? How big is your house?" And Big Boy on there condoning it. You know, we gotta know, man, how much it costs. You know. So, like I said, all in all, good fucking show, man.
It's dope. I can't wait for another season. Yeah. Hopefully, I think it's gonna go through. I know right after is when the whole Will Smith slapping Chris Rock thing happened. So I don't know if that hurt with the programming because it's on Peacock and whatnot, and it is his show essentially. You know what I'm saying? He has a major part into the show being made, but I hope they go ahead and go through with it.
Well, Peacock, NBC, whoever, Comcast, I don't know, whoever's in charge of running this show, please bring it back for season 2 because we
got to see what's happening.
It's a really, really, really good show, man, and I would really hate for that to just be one season deep. And speaking of which, that always happens.
Yeah,
like and I don't know. Maybe I'm just a guy that maybe I like what everybody else may consider to be a whack show.
Mm-hmm.
And I get mad when they don't bring those shows back. Like, you ever seen this one show called The Breaks on VH1?
Nah.
It was a fire show. A lot of people probably didn't like it, but it was a show that was set back in like the early 90s, like super early 90s. And it was talking about like, it was a hip hop show. So it was this girl, she was trying to basically like get into the world of hip hop. You know, the whole, I got to get my start. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get up in here. So I'm making connections. I'm getting this tape, introducing it to this radio DJ, so on and so forth. But then there's also a DJ who is trying to get to the top. So he's like a bedroom DJ at first, but he do a little party here and there. But his dad wants him to like go to college, and DJing is not a promising career. And then you have a street cat who selling drugs. He hitting me. He in the streets. But his flow is, he can spit, but he's just like, man, I just kind of fuck around with that. I ain't, this, what I'm doing in the streets is definitely taking care of me and my people. So that whole thing. And, they all eventually meet each other and try to promote the rap guy to try to get him off the streets and advance each other's careers. And I mean, it was on VH1. I mean, it was a little cheesy at times, but for the most part, the premise.
Did it come out around the time that show on Netflix came out? I've been trying to think of
Get Down.
The Get Down. Did it come out around that time?
I can't remember if it was out around the same time the Get Down came out, but it was a few years ago. I know.
I think that may be why I didn't watch it, because I watched the Get Down and I was like, I don't think I need to watch another show that basically looked like the same show.
No. See, because completely different from the Get Down. The Get Down was kind of like where you saw the birth of hip hop in a very action adventure sci-fi kind of way. But this was like just kind of like a rag. This was more of a rags to riches.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Kind of thing, but it was all.
I'm pretty sure I can get on.
I don't know where you can find it, man. I've been trying to find
YouTube,
it, but this came out like 2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
I'm pretty sure I can.
You may be able to find it on YouTube, but it was a dope little show. It went one season deep, and they made it seem like they left us on a cliffhanger. And I was sitting there like, man, they gotta bring this show back. But in my mind, I'm already like, it was on VH1, man. They probably not gonna bring it back, but man, please bring this show back. And they never fucking brought it back, man. And so, man, what show? What was that little boy name that played the DJ? He played in The Wire. Well, you never really seen all of The Wire. What's the dude name? He sings and raps too. Is it Mac Wilds? You know what I'm talking about? I think his name is Mac Wilds. But he was the DJ in that show, and at the same time, I think he was playing in another show. He was playing in another show around the same time. So maybe I don't know what ended up happening, but the show went off air, and it hurts my heart that it's not out anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who. But yeah, I'm gonna try to look it up.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. But
Yeah,
anyhow, man, let's see. We've been on what, an hour and 8 minutes.
yeah,
Let's see. I know you got to get up early in the morning, so
yeah, man.
I guess we can go ahead and cut it off about right here. But definitely got more stuff to talk about in my notes, so we'll catch you
Gotcha. I mean, we still got
on the
other
next
stuff to go
episode.
slide in
Yeah,
there, but
and stuff. As we go, stuff is gonna come through because it's just all kind of stuff just going through my head. But anyhow, shout out to those who support our Patreon, our one
shout
patron,
out,
Crystal
shout out,
Saldana. Of course, we always appreciate what you do. If you do want to be a supporter of the show, be sure to check us out on the Patreon link down below. Also, if you do enjoy the content, really need to start putting this at the beginning of the episodes instead of at the end.
I mean, we just kind of jumped into it today, but
I know what I'm gonna do. No, you know what I'm gonna do? Starting with this episode is when I start putting it all together, I'm gonna just put the little subscribe, like I might have a slide in or something like that, so people can kind of get to it. But if you like the show, be sure to like it, share your thoughts in the comments, share the links, and most importantly, subscribe. We are y'all are trickling in, man. I love it. Y'all coming in slowly but surely, but we do appreciate each and every one of y'all who do appreciate us enough to hit that subscribe button. That means so much to us.
Yeah, man.
As a matter of fact, on the next episode, I do want to talk about another fan theory I watched by Axiom Amnesia.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, if you enjoyed the show, hit the subscribe button. If you would like to get any of our merchandise, you can go to the link down below, the Zazzle.com link, and you can get access to one of our t-shirts. It's really dope shirt, kind of plays off of the beginning banner that we have in the beginning of the show of every episode. So just be sure to check that out. It's dope as hell. And I think that's pretty much it. You got anybody to shout out this week?
No, man. Shout out to everybody at TSU, all the kids that they about to get ready for their Christmas break and whatnot. They football season is over with, so the band is pretty much done. So shout out to all the kids at TSU, man.
All right, much love to TSU. That is Texas Southern University, not Texas State University.
Yeah.
So much love to y'all, man. So, man, with that being said, we will catch you guys next week. And until then, peace.